background music again. All right, what up, D-Friends? EXP Realty. Little obligation to my community to keep up on trends. And, this is, I don't even know if it's a trend. It's just a fact. We are in a drought. And talking to a couple of my clients about landscaping options, what should they do, what shouldn't they do. And hey, lo and behold, God is amazing. The city of Santa Clara newspaper came in yesterday. It's sitting over here on my desk, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't even have to do the research. I can just read. It basically goes over 6 ways to help with the drought. There's a litany of things you can do inside of your house, like obvious stuff, turning off the water when you brush your teeth, using excess water from the sink to water your plants. This is all going to be outside. This is going to be front yard kind of stuff, okay? And we're going to break it down 1 through 6. Number 1 is just to reduce watering to 2 days a week or less. 1 day a week. Now, do you need to combine the different overseed with that? Can your lawn actually survive 1 to 2 waterings a week? It absolutely can. It's nature. It adjusts. So if you're watering every other day, you throttle it back to 3 days a week. You let it adjust a little bit. Remember, you can hand water dry spots and stop, which we're going to get into a little bit later. But number 1, reduce watering. Let's just call it 2 days a week. If you can do 1, absolutely. If you start to change your landscaping to California native plants and drought-proof stuff and hardscaping and tan bark and rock, then absolutely, you might not need to water at all if you really go to the extreme and you go that route. 6 p.m. to 9 a.m. is when you want to water. We're still on number 1. So as you reduce how many times a week, you actually hone in on the actual time frame. The sun goes down, less evaporation, moisture stays in the ground. So 6 p.m. to 9 a.m., all right? And your zones should be 15 minutes or less. Again, your grass is going to adjust. So most stations will go, I think like the default is 24 minutes. My brother and I used to run a gardening and landscaping business. We're talking 30 years ago. And I even remember in my mind, it was like 22 or 24 minutes a station. We want to bring that back to 15 minutes. Okay. Number 2, replace the plants with California natives. This is like when nature starts to become back to before we were developing the land. So what was in the ground as a California native? Indigenous plants are going to survive and thrive a lot more than if you just walk into Home Depot or a nursery or a Lowe's or whatever, and you just find what you like in terms of the look. So what appeals to you might not be the best fit, probably isn't the best fit in terms of finding plants that will withstand the drought, okay? A little bit more on number 2. What we're talking about is acclimating these plants to the California weather. You know, these native plants, like they barely sip water. They know what to do, and there's a rule in nature. You know, nature never takes any more than it needs. But if you start to mess up the climate with the plant and you try to get something to survive and thrive in an environment that it's not meant for, then it struggles. You think you don't have a green thumb? You're actually just using the wrong plants. All right. So you will find that there's a much more lushness with little to no water with California native plants. All right. Number 3, focus on watering trees. And this is critical to local climate health. Okay, and I'm just gonna read some of this. This is so important. We're talking about oxygen, we're talking about the fact that trees that are healthy and thriving, they combat the heat. You guys know, if you're in 90-degree weather out in the sun and you dip into the shade, it's like a 10-degree reduction in the heat. I mean, you all of a sudden can just handle it. I know I play a lot of golf, and we're always like trying to get back in the cart in the shade or try to find a tree to get into the shade. It's like 10, 12 degrees instantly less than if you're in the sun. So if you think of a huge tree being a canopy, like an umbrella that shades your other plants, oh man, you're actually figuring out the multi-level, like the hierarchy of plants and grass and shrubs and bushes and flowers, and all of that really, really plays into that. Not to mention that the trees clean our air. It's like recycling, right? It's breathing and recycling. It provides habitat to wildlife. So big trees. Don't forget to water your big trees. And you can actually water everything else a lot less, okay? Number 4 on the list, just replace your lawn with like you'll actually get a landscape conversion rate. If you replace your lawn with hardscaping, you will get, I don't know if it's from PG&E or if it's from a .gov, but you will get a rebate. And that's just an easy decision. Now, of course, there's a little bit of labor involved, but you would be surprised how inexpensive you can get somebody to rip up a lawn and put in some pea gravel with some, I call it yard art. My brother and I used to make these sculptures. Before we started making fountains, we made what's called yard art. Basically rocks stacked on top of each other to build like a sculpture. You put a few of those in your yard and you have some attractive eye candy, ambiance, a little bit of lighting, you're golden, right? A little bit more on that. It looks like the rebate can be up to $3 a square foot. So we're talking about $4,000, like potential $4,000 for residential customers. That's a chunk of money. That's gonna well cover the labor to rip up the lawn, pack it away, take it away to a landfill, or the landscapers, the really good ones, will actually make that into mulch and use it as fertilizer and recycle it. So don't hesitate that being a solution. I would say California, we're probably in a drought for the foreseeable future. Years, maybe 2-3 years minimum that we would be talking. I don't think there's an El Nino in sight. So yeah, make that massive change. Now, this is simple maintenance. You might need to get your landscaper, unless you're skilled at, actually digging into the ground and checking out your PVC and your sprinkler timers. But number 5 on the list is to check irrigation zones. And this could be for leakage. This could be for overwatering. But the main thing is to catch leaks early. When a lot of people see puddling up, they think that it's the actual slope, like on a golf green. You always wonder, why aren't there puddles on a golf green? It's because there is so much strategy on drainage. Where it drains off, where the water comes in, the amount of water that gets put up top versus in lower tiers of a putting green. Think of your lawn really should not have any puddling anywhere. And if you notice puddling, it most likely 90% plus chance that it's because of a minor leak, and it happens very slowly. So you sort of think let me turn the water down or water less, and it's actually not going to fix it at all, because the ground becomes so saturated, it has nowhere to go. So leakage, catch it early, go out and look at your sprinklers and you might need to hire somebody to dig in and just confirm, like you would in the plumbing in your house. You know, if you were having issues with the plumbing in your house, you would be calling a professional to have it fixed. So don't hesitate to do that in your lawn area as well, front and back. All right, number 6, stop overspraying. What does this mean? It means watering sidewalks and driveways and hardscape. This is so easy to fix. Modern sprinklers have adjustments, able to tweak the range of where it waters into here. You can you can change the sprinkler head to do half hits. So instead of it umbrelling out, it'll just like, you know, the sprinkler just goes half, and then you can throttle that back. There is nothing worse than, because the water doesn't seep through the cement and get into your ground. It actually goes into the cement and evaporates. Completely a waste, a 100% waste. So you got to fix the overspray right away. There's just a lot of ways to do it. You'll notice on some sprinklers there's an actual screwdriver, a Phillips head, where you can tighten it and loosen it, and you know, do it on a hot day. You're gonna get wet, but go out there while it's running, and if you see the sidewalk getting sprayed, that's overspray. If you see the driveway or the street, we don't need to water the street. That has got to be one of the biggest culprits that I've seen way back, because people like to cover the lawn, and they know that they're covering the lawn or whatever they're trying to water if they see it go beyond it. And that's not how this works. If the edge of the lawn is here and you water up to here, the water actually seeps to the edge. Remember, nature takes what it needs, and it doesn't take any more than it needs. All right, this is D. Franz. We are in a severe drought. This is my PSA to my clients that we've been talking about managing their landscaping, changing things. I've been giving a lot of professional landscape referrals to my clients, my real estate clients. So reach out, DM, call, text, 408-316-7344. Okay, it's not on there, but there's my DRE number. Peace.